Well, I tend to think of the golf swing as a poem.
Oh, he's doing that poetry thing again.
Critical opening phrase of this poem will always be the grip, which the hands unite to form a single unit by the simple overlap of the
Little finger.
and lowly and slowly, the club head is led back, pulled into position not by the hands, but by the body, which turns away from the target, shifting weight to the right side without shifting balance. Tempo is everything, perfection unattainable. As the body coils now to the top of the swing, there's a slight hesitation, a little nod to the gods.
A nod to the gods?
Yeah, to the gods. That he is fallible. That perfection is unattainable, and now the weight begins shifting back to the left, pulled by the powers inside the earth. It's alive, this swing, a living sculpture, and down through contact, always down, striking the ball crisply, with character. The tuning fork goes off in your heart.
I have been desperately seeking a podcast that covers the sports movies that I love. You know,
Some people like the sound of their own voice, you know.
That is one of the maybe 5 movies ever that even to this day, when I watch it, makes me tear up. It tugs at my feels.
What am I getting myself into?
Exactly. I'm going to make a serious argument that Little Big League belongs in the discussion for top 3 baseball movies of all time.
So you're going to make me watch it again?
Yes.
Did you say the title of the show?
I made Alicia watch a sports movie.
Welcome back. It's been quite a long time.
It's been quite a while. Yes, it has.
But we are finally back with some more. I made Alicia watch a sports movie. Mm-hmm. And I did indeed make her watch a sports movie today.
Yes.
She'd never seen it before. She's seen bits and pieces because it's a movie that I watch on a fairly regular basis.
Yes, I've seen bits and pieces.
To date myself here, when this movie came out, I owned it on VHS.
I've never seen the movie before today in its entirety.
What'd you think?
It's definitely a 90s movie.
Definitely a 90s movie. Okay, so what we're talking about is I made Alicia watch Tin Cup.
Yes.
My favorite golf movie.
Okay.
Probably easily in my top 5 sports movies of all time.
Okay.
Tin Cup.
All right.
How does it compare to... So we've already watched a golf movie for this podcast. We watched The Legend of Bagger Vance.
Yes.
With Will Smith and Matt Damon. As far as golf movies go, how do you rate this one compared to that one?
This one is not as good.
Okay, so let's start off with our rankings.
Okay.
So for context, all the way back last year when we did Legend of Bagger Vance, you gave it 4 montages out of 5.
Yes.
I also gave Legend of Bagger Vance 4 montages out of 5. Mm-hmm. What do you give this one? Remember, you can do halvesies.
1.5.
1.5? Mm-hmm. Wow.
Maybe it's just because I'm a feminist. And there was so much misogyny in it.
I'm a feminist.
And there were definitely not any montages.
But like 90% of the misogyny came from women.
No, did not.
I mean, yeah.
No.
Or was encouraged.
This movie, okay.
First of all, this movie completely fails the Bechdel test.
Okay, this movie is made by men for men. So whatever the women did in the movie was what was written in their scripts. And is what men would prefer to happen when men treat women as they did in this movie.
Okay, so you obviously know who wrote it then if you know that it was written by men.
I know it was written by men.
You do?
But I do not know who wrote it. I don't know who directed it.
So you'd be surprised if there was a woman writer.
I absolutely would be, but probably not as much because it was the 90s and it was okay for movies to be portrayed as such.
Okay.
Back then. Because nowadays, if that happens in movies, people get all kinds of offended.
Well, people get all kinds of offended about everything today.
Right. But
This is a movie you couldn't make today. It would be very different.
oh yes, absolutely.
It would be very different if you tried to make it today.
Yeah, absolutely. But in me personally, if some of the ways these men acted towards the doctor,
Rene Russo's character,
Yes.
Molly.
if these men had reacted to me the way they react to Molly, somebody probably would have gotten hit in the face with a golf club.
Really?
Yes.
Well, okay. So, I guess we can start by talking about the main cast
Yes.
and who you liked and didn't like.
Yes.
Okay, so leading us off is a man who will be no stranger
To sports movies.
to this podcast.
Right.
And people out there who are listening to this will probably remember back in the day when if a sports movie came out, a gentleman by the name of Kevin Costner was
Isn't
almost
he in a
certainly in it.
baseball one we have to cover?
He's in several baseball ones. So Kevin Costner, for those who maybe don't know, which includes Alicia, although I have shown her a couple of Kevin Costner baseball movies.
Yes.
Which is what she's thinking of.
Yes, I'm thinking
So-
the one in the cornfield.
A Field of Dreams.
Yes.
You're thinking of another one too, though,
Yes,
with Susan Sarandon.
yes, I am. That is. Oh my god. what
Also
is
Tim
it?
Robbins.
What is it?
Bull Durham.
Yes, Bull
Okay,
Durham.
so Kevin Costner will be appearing in our podcast in this episode, Tin Cup.
Yes.
He will also be in the quintessential baseball trilogy, the trifecta, Bull Durham, Field of Dreams, and For Love of the Game.
I've never seen For Love of the
You have not. It's fantastic. I
I've
love
seen
it.
the other two though.
Also will be appearing in this podcast in American Flyers,
Never heard of it.
which is about bicycle racing, like
Okay.
Tour de France style bicycle racing.
okay. So it's not that 1987 dirt bike one we saw.
No, not the BMX Bandits.
Yeah, that one.
No, that one, no. We will be watching BMX Bandits for the show because why not? It's sports. It's BMX.
Why not?
It's BMX. Love that movie, by the way. Love it.
Oh my
And
god.
one other movie he'll be appearing in is McFarland USA, which is his most recent movie. Actually, two more. McFarland USA, where he is a coach to a track team
Never
in high
heard of
school.
it.
And then also Draft Day,
Never heard of that.
which
either.
is about draft day.
Okay.
So, Kevin Costner will be appearing lots
Yes.
in this podcast.
Yeah.
All right. So Kevin Costner played Roy Tin Cup McAvoy.
Yes.
What did you think of? Okay, now I know you don't like the character,
Yeah.
but what about Kevin Costner's
He played it very
portrayal
well.
of the character?
He played it very well.
He's very believable as like the swarthy rogue,
Yes.
less douchey kind of bad boy that he was trying to portray in this movie. He played it
Yes.
very well.
He did play it very well.
Yes. All right. The love interest in the movie, Dr. Molly, was played by the ever lovely Rene Russo,
Yes, whose character was already dating someone else.
as these movies stories tend to do.
Yes.
Also, reality in a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you think of her character?
I loved her. She was hilarious.
Okay.
And she didn't put up with any of their shit.
No.
So I loved her for that.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, I was also.
I was
As
really hoping though that when Roy was teaching her how to stand, she would swat him with the golf club. Because I think I yelled that at the.
Well, she didn't swat him with the golf club, but she swatted him away.
She should have swatted him with the golf club.
All right. So yeah, I think that they have a great on-screen chemistry together.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Next big character, Romeo, played by
Cheech!
everybody's favorite, Cheech Marin. Gotta love.
Cheech is in this movie.
Yes, he is, and he's not stoned.
You actually surprised I know who Cheech is?
Yeah, because you don't strike me as somebody who's watched Cheech and Chong
I know Cheech.
from what, Nash Bridges?
I think so.
Well, then you would also know the next main character who played Nash Bridges and also played our extreme douche David Sims, and that is
I kept calling him Doug.
Don Johnson,
Yeah.
who played Nash Bridges. with Cheech Marin.
Yeah.
They actually started filming that show shortly after they did this movie
Did they?
together.
Okay.
Yes. What did you think of Cheech and Don Johnson?
Cheech was perfect. Loved him. Didn't take Roy's shit.
Yep.
You know, he was still the friend he needed to be.
Good bromance between them.
Absolutely.
Good bromance.
Am I better than Earl? Yes.
Do you love me more than Earl?
Yes,
Do ya?
absolutely.
So yeah, Cheech was amazing.
Yep. Cheech,
As
I
always,
think, was...
I've never been disappointed when I see Cheech in something.
I think Cheech was actually my favorite character in this movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Not surprising.
No.
Really not surprising. That's not
And
a surprise.
this whole Dave guy that I kept calling Doug,
David Sims.
absolute douche.
Yeah. Well, that's his role.
I know. He played it very well.
Yes, Don Johnson played.
Yep. Hates kids, can't stand old people. You know,
Yeah.
he'd kick a cat if he saw it.
Yeah. So this guy is essentially later we will.
And this is the one Molly's dating at the beginning of the movie.
Yes, and later we'll have to watch, of course, Happy Gilmore.
Okay.
But Shooter McGavin is essentially based off of David Sims.
I've never seen Happy Gilmore.
Okay, he's the over the top douche, bad guy antagonist in Happy Gilmore.
Okay.
And he's very clearly modeled after David Sims from this movie. So those are the four main characters. There's other characters, but they didn't really play big parts. Those are the four who really played big parts in this movie. Now let's talk about the director, because he will also be making
I told you it was some guy's
a
movie.
lot of appearances on this show.
Oh, he does?
He's directed a ton of movies and written a ton of movies.
Okay.
So
Is he the commentator?
there's no what commentator?
The guy that was talking into the soda machine?
No.
Okay.
No, that was an actual golf commentator.
Okay.
Those are it's Gary McCord.
Okay.
Actual golf commentator.
Okay.
Who was also a technical advisor for teaching Kevin Costner and Don Johnson how to actually swing golf clubs properly.
That's cool.
Yep. So the director is Ron Shelton.
Okay. Doesn't mean anything.
First time he's been on our podcast. However, he will be on for many movies.
Okay.
So as director, we will be doing Bull Durham, of course.
Okay.
We'll be doing White Men Can't Jump, which is a basketball movie
Okay.
with Woody Harrelson and Wesley Snipes.
Okay.
Cobb, which is a baseball movie about Ty Cobb.
Okay.
Great movie.
Okay.
And Play It to the Bone, which is a boxing movie.
I do like sing.
And then,
Does that mean we can watch Rocky movies?
yeah, Rocky's definitely counting these.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've never seen a Rocky movie.
You never seen any Rocky movies?
Never seen any Rocky
How
movies.
is that possible?
Have you met my parents?
Like-
anything that's
Yeah,
gonna
your
hurt somebody?
family just doesn't sports
No,
at
we
all.
don't sport at all.
Not at all. There's just nobody in your family that does sports.
No. Aaron.
Even your uncles.
Aaron is the only one who does.
Like, even your uncles
My
who you
uncles were in chess tournaments.
That's what I'm saying. Like, even your uncles who are like rough and tumble country guys don't sports.
No, I don't think Uncle Pat ever sports.
Yeah, like your Uncle Keith knows
He was
baseball.
military.
He knows baseball.
Yes, but he did chess tournaments with
Right.
my dad.
Yep.
And with my Uncle Craig.
Yep.
And Uncle Bill doesn't count.
Right. Yeah, he does Jesus tournaments.
These days.
So Ron Shelton also was one of the two writers for the movie.
Okay.
The other one was John Norville.
Yep. See, I told you it was written by men.
Other movies where we will be getting Ron Shelton as the writer of the movie. Great White Hype, another boxing movie.
Okay.
And Blue Chips, great college basketball movie starring the likes of Nick Nolte and Shaquille O'Neal.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yep. So that'll be a great movie. Nick Nolte will also be appearing in The Air Up There.
Don't know who.
Another basketball movie. Fantastic movie.
Okay.
So, yeah. So that's Ron Shelton. So we're going to be getting a lot of Ron Shelton coming up. Going to be getting a lot of Kevin Costner.
Okay.
So, strap in.
All right.
They're not always misogynistic.
Is this
Although
one?
I think Bull Durham is, but you fucking love Bull Durham.
I'd have to watch it again.
It's just as misogynistic.
I'd have to watch it again.
Okay. But you love that movie.
Do I?
Yes. You've seen it twice and you fucking absolutely love it every time we watch it. It's the one where he's in the minor leagues and Tim Robbins plays the pitcher that he's the catcher for. We need to take a cat timeout because our cat's just knocked something the fuck over. Alright, so let's get into the movie itself,
Yes.
shall we? Alright, so we start off with this very 90s ditty of a song.
Yes.
playing over a bunch of armadillos running around the West Texas desert.
It's one armadillo.
There's more than one.
I thought it was just the one.
I think there's a few because there's like running in and out of like the fucking 5-gallon drums and running back and forth.
Okay, I thought it was all the same armadillo.
I think it's a few.
Okay.
But either way, it's because they do call his driving range armadillo infested.
That's true.
So I'm going to assume it's multiples.
Right.
So we get this very rundown driving range owned by
Yes.
Kevin Costner.
It is the last one for 520 miles.
Yep. So the sign says, "Last chance to hit golf balls for FORE."
Yep.
532 miles,
Yep.
which is hilarious.
I thought it was 520, but something like that.
500 plus miles. The funny part is the 4 FORE.
FORE, yeah.
As in 4.
Yep, I caught that too.
Yeah. Kevin Costner's hitting golf balls.
Yep.
And Cheech Marin and a bunch of him and Kevin Costner's friends
Yep.
are betting on which fly flies into the bug zapper and dies first.
Yes, this is how much time they have.
Yes.
At work.
They must be under quarantine as well if they
Yeah.
have this much time on their
At
hands.
work. Yeah.
Well, I think only Cheech works there with Kevin Costner.
And he's under the table.
Well, they're both there because Kevin Costner's the owner and Cheech is
Yeah.
under the table. Yeah, exactly. Because they don't pay taxes.
Yeah.
Because they have a little run-in with the IRS.
Yes, as we later learn.
Yes. So Roy McAvoy, Kevin Costner's character, finishes up his hitting and comes up to join the fellas, and they head inside the clubhouse.
Yeah.
Which is really just like a little shanty.
It looks like an old rundown diner.
Yeah. And so they head in there, and Kevin Costner's character poses a riddle for them to wager on instead.
Yes.
And he tells them, everybody puts in $20.
He says, it's easy.
Whoever gets it right wins the pot.
Yeah.
If none of you get it by the time I bounce the golf ball 500 times on my wedge, then I get the money.
Yep. But if it's found out to be too difficult, you guys can have your money back.
Right. So nothing to lose, he tells them.
Yeah.
So he gives them the riddle. The riddle is, and we're going to have another movie with a riddle as well. I love movies with riddles. We're going to have...
I know the answers to all the riddles.
We're going to have Little Big League, which has a riddle about horses and cowboys.
Yep.
Later on. But, so the riddle is a boy and his father are in a car accident.
Yep.
And they're both taken to separate hospitals.
Yes.
The boy is taken directly to surgery.
Yep.
The doctor arrives and says, I cannot operate on him. He is my son.
Yes.
How is that possible?
Yes.
And the one fat guy, Earl, of course his name is Earl.
He's like the only other person's name we get. We don't get anyone else's name.
Right. They do have the token black guy in their group.
Yes.
But so Earl, of course his name is Earl. It needs to be like on a gas station coat.
It does.
Literally needs to be for this guy.
Yep.
But he wonders things about like incest or if the father was like beamed directly to this other hospital.
Yeah.
And Kevin Costner tells him.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like doing the choking motion at the television.
Now, did you know the answer to the first time you saw it?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
So this is when we're introduced to Rene Russo's character, Dr. Molly.
Yep.
And this is where we
Molly
get our first...
Gunther or something like that.
Yeah, this is where we get our first smack of irony.
Yes.
In the movie. Right across the face, too.
Yes.
What is her last name in this movie? I need to find out.
I thought it was Molly Gunther.
No, Griswold.
Griswold.
Dr. Molly Griswold.
Yes. She is a psychologist.
Yes. Who used to be a real estate agent.
Yes.
But got bored of that.
Yeah.
And decided to become a psychologist. And passed most of her classes.
Yes.
As she tells us later on. But she comes in and she says, well, the answer's easy. The doctor is...
his mother.
The boy's mother.
Yes.
And of course, this riddle was invented by feminists to prove how deeply ingrained our prejudices about jobs are as far as sexism goes.
Yes.
And so she finds it interesting that Kevin Costner character Roy, who doesn't seem the type, knows this riddle.
Yes.
And so she asks him if he's a feminist, and he's like, one of my favorite lines. He says, "I've been saddled with a lot of things, but never that one."
Yes.
So,
and then she says, "I have a 7 o'clock golfing lesson with you." And he goes, "Oh, really? I thought it was a Dr. Griswold."
yeah, I went to play with a Dr. Griswold, and of course, proving the irony of him not understanding that she's a doctor and she's a woman.
Yeah, I am Dr. Molly Griswold.
Yep, absolutely. Let's just say that first impression, she is not impressed.
Same girl, same.
Now
Not impressed.
she will become much more impressed later on.
Oh, of course she does.
But for right now, not
only because
impressed.
it's written into the script.
Don't be surprised. You underestimate the lovable rogue. There's a reason that character exists throughout the history of literature, film, and TV. It's a trope about humanity. Like, there's an actual human that is like that, and the situations that play out. Like, that story is not just invented wholesale.
Okay.
It comes from humanity.
Oh, I have no doubt.
So, you know.
Men were misogynistic pigs who,
and women
convinced women to fall in love with them.
And women like bad boy rogues.
Yeah.
Or at least a decent chunk of women. Like
I used to be one of those women.
Like that roguey, swarthy man. Look at Captain Hook.
I used to be one of those women.
Okay. So,
I hate her.
You grew out of it. Rene Russo did not.
Right.
She took the opposite track, right? She didn't like that, and then she did.
Yes.
At first, she just liked real assholes.
Yes.
Like complete douchebags.
Yes. Who hate children and old people.
And dogs.
And dogs, yes.
All right. So, they do their first lesson, and she busts out all of these. And if you were watching golf back in the 90s like I was, you've seen all of these contraptions.
My favorite one is the one that goes around the knees and the ankles, and it straps your legs together so you can't spread your legs too wide.
Yes.
That looks like a really bad sex toy.
A lot of them look like really bad sex toys.
Yes. The one with the pole that comes out of the chest, I was kind of confused about.
It's a Sibian on your chest. It's so your girl can ride on your chest, I guess.
No, I don't think that's what it is.
Who knows? But, yeah. So she busts out all these contraptions that she's paid hundreds of dollars for.
Yeah, like $200 for all of it. She's got this visor with the ball that hangs so that...
Saw that one on the Golf Channel, I swear.
Did
I've
you?
seen that. Oh, yeah. I've seen all those on the Golf Channel in ads.
And I guess it's meant so that you don't sway your head. The ball has to not move.
Right. So you're not jerking your head. You're doing smooth motions so the ball stays stationary throughout your entire swing.
Yep.
Saw the infomercial for it way back in the day. The only thing she didn't have was the Medicus Club, which was this club that had a hinge in the shaft. So if you swung it properly, the shaft stayed straight and you could hit the ball.
But if you swung it too hard, the head would cock back.
If you had like a jerky bit in your swing, the shaft would split and you wouldn't be able to hit the ball. So that's the only thing she didn't have was the Medicus.
What was the golf watch?
So, because you have to have a golf watch, right? I mean...
What's a golf watch?
So, golf... sponsors, the biggest sponsor is Rolex. Mm-hmm. So a fancy watch was always like a sign of golf.
Okay.
Because Rolex sponsors two sports essentially.
Okay.
They sponsor golf and they sponsor tennis.
Okay.
So golf watches were a thing.
Okay.
That time, yeah. It was like a status symbol.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's like, take it all off.
Yeah.
Take the watch off. Take it all off.
Yep, absolutely. So she gets rid of all that, and. We get probably the funniest golf lesson I've ever seen.
She is me learning new things here.
Yeah. It reminds me a lot of me teaching you bowling.
Yes.
Or
absolutely.
Me not teaching you bowling, our friends teaching you bowling. Because like her, you didn't want to go to your boyfriend to learn the sport.
I did not want to go to you to learn bowling.
Like her, because she is dating, we'll get this out of the way, she is dating Tin Cup's arch nemesis, David Sims, who is a PGA Tour player.
Yep, she wants to learn golf because her boyfriend plays golf.
She wants to share that with him.
Yes.
So she comes to a local golf pro to learn golf.
Yep.
This is where we get The Golf Swing by Roy McAvoy.
Yeah.
Which is this over-articulate poem about, nods to the golf gods, and you'll have heard this in the cold open to the show, where I put the audio clip of the golf swing by Roy McAvoy before the entrance music to the show.
Yeah.
Which leads to my favorite part of it, which is feeling that tuning fork in your balls when you strike a good golf shot.
Or your groin.
Or your loins.
Yeah, that's what
at first he says balls, but then she doesn't have balls, so he changes it to loins.
Yep.
Which I will attest to you is true.
Your balls rattle when you hit it right.
You get it. You get a good hit golf shot does reverberate in your core. Yes.
Is that kind of like the feeling you get when you bowl your bowling ball right?
Well, I don't get a feeling in my core from that. I get like my arm feels like perfect.
Yes, I get it in my
same
arm.
idea. But with golf, because you're hitting something, you actually do get a rattling.
Yeah.
Like a tuning fork. Have you ever seen a tuning fork?
Yes, I know what a tuning fork is.
Same idea. It feels like that.
I used to do it and then put it on top of my head to feel it down my spine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so think about that in your core.
Yeah.
Same idea. Yep. So that is
So you feel it in your chakras, is that it?
Yeah, you feel it in your chakras. Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That would be the nod to the gods.
Well, supposedly there is a chakra right there.
Well, yeah, of course there's a chakra by your balls. Naturally. Where else? I mean, why wouldn't there be one there? When you think about it, all throughout history, right, sexual energy is considered one of the most powerful energies you can harness.
Yes.
And apply towards other things to really accomplish goals.
Well, yeah, if you're sexually frustrated, go do something that needs to get done.
And you'll do it.
Yep.
So, all right. So that is and I love, so you've also seen Kevin Costner in Bull Durham, and they always give him these speeches, right? Like in this one we have The Golf Swing by Roy McAvoy.
Yes.
In Bull Durham we have, what does Kevin Costner's character believe in, right?
Yeah.
I believe in, long wet kisses, walks on the beach at sunset, getting rid of the designated hitter.
Yeah.
We get this long diatribe of things that he believes in that movie as well.
Diatribes. I'd never heard that word till I met you, and now I hear it all the fucking time.
It's a great word.
It's also in one of the podcasts we listen to every night.
They have a diatribe every week, yes. But yeah, so we get diatribes from Kevin Costner in this movie and in Bull Durham, which is great. I love a good Kevin Costner diatribe. All right. So that concludes the first lesson after some waggling. That's a funny part where he tells her to waggle. And okay, so she is naturally wearing the 90s woman's golf outfit.
The skirt.
The short, tight, checkered skirt.
Yep.
And so he tells her to waggle before she hits.
And she wags her butt like a dog.
Waggles her ass. Mm-hmm. And he's like, no. The club head. Waggle the club head. Mm-hmm.
She's like, I'm waggling. And he's like, no.
It's like, well, you are, yes. And it's looking good, but waggle the club head. Of course, he knew she was going to waggle her ass.
Yes.
Naturally.
Of course he did. Because she knows nothing about golf.
Right. She knows enough to know what she doesn't know. She doesn't even know enough to know what she doesn't know.
Right.
She knows that she knows nothing, essentially. And that concludes their first lesson. He asked that she pay him in cash.
Because him and the IRS don't get along.
Yeah, they're not friends, him and the IRS. So, the next day, him and Cheech are hanging out at their Winnebago.
Yeah.
With their spa out front, which is a inflatable kiddie pool.
Yes.
And Don Johnson, David Sims, shows up. Douchebag numero uno.
Yes.
Shows up.
Yes.
And
he's a whole dick through this scene. Like, not even a little bit. He's a whole ass dick through this scene.
This is the guy that no matter how much of a douche Kevin Costner's character might be, made everybody who watched this movie back in the day
think Tin Cup was nothing
Tin
about
Cup.
an
Right.
Yeah.
Love Tin Cup because compared to this guy, Tin Cup is a shining fucking knight in armor.
Yes, he is, absolutely.
So this guy shows up. Tin Cup is inside, not talking at the moment.
Yes.
And so we get a little
hiding.
We get a little flare up between Cheech and Romeo and David Sims.
Yes.
These two do not like each other at all.
Well, they have a checkered history, to say the least.
Why do our movies always have checkered histories?
And it's been at least 12 years since they've last spoken to each other.
Yes.
And David does say that it's been at least a dozen years since he's thought of
Tin Cup.
Of Tin Cup and Romeo.
So here's the thing. They were college teammates.
Yes.
Golf teammates.
Yep.
Back at, what do they say, Texas Western or something?
Something like that.
Yeah, some fictitious college in Western Texas.
Yep.
And so they were golf teammates, state champions together.
Yes.
And both Tin Cup and David Sims went out on the lower tours and then tried the PGA qualifying school to get onto the main PGA tour. Tin Cup didn't make it. David Sims did.
Yes.
And so in that time, then they...
And why didn't Tin Cup make it?
So we'll get to it, because he's good enough to have made it.
Yes.
Just not mentally.
Yes, because it is discussed why he didn't make it.
Yes. And that, of course, leads up to our final climactic moment of the movie as well.
It does.
So, David Sims is there to offer Tin Cup a job.
Yes, but Romeo says, he's in Houston.
Yep. All right, well, have him call me when he gets back.
Yep.
I've got my celebrity charity doubles golf event coming up right here locally, and I need Tin Cup because it's on a course that he could, that he knows how to score on blindfolded, essentially. Because it's the course. I'm assuming this is probably the course. It was probably their home course in college.
Right.
I would assume.
Right.
So Cottonwood Golf Course.
Yeah.
So of course Tin Cup pipes up from inside. Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah, I'm on your team. We're gonna totally crush it. I'll be a birdie making machine.
Yeah.
Thinking of, he wants me to be his teammate.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's not what
No,
Don Johnson
I
wants.
want you to be my caddy because I want you to tell me how to win this thing.
Yeah, David Sims wants Tin Cup.
This guy is a pro bowler, pro golfer
who knows that Tin Cup is better than him.
Yes, and then asks him to be his caddy
for this celebrity charity golf tournament.
Yes. Douchebag.
Yeah. So Tin Cup agrees because he gets $1,000 guaranteed plus 10% of the purse because that's what caddies make.
Yes.
So so he's like, he can use the money because he owes the IRS a shit ton of money.
Yes.
And basically, lives in a Winnebago with Cheech Marin. So, he needs a little cash.
Yes.
So he agrees to do it.
Yes.
Which then, of course, takes us to that tournament.
Yes.
We skip right ahead to, the 16th hole.
Yeah.
And we're coming up on the second shots on the 16th hole. Mm-hmm. David Sims is partnered with Craig Stadler.
Is he a real
He's
golfer?
a real golfer, and I told you what his nickname was back in the day.
I do not remember.
The Walrus.
Yes, that's right, the Walrus.
So Craig Stadler.
Did he have the mustache?
The whole 9 yards.
Okay.
Yeah, he was like he looked. Yeah.
Okay.
So so he is David Sims' partner, and they're playing against their pairing is against Phil Mickelson, who is affectionately known as Lefty.
And he's an actual golfer.
Yep, actual golfer. For the longest time, he was considered the best player to never win a major because it took him forever. But he won tons of tournaments, finished second in so many majors, but never won one for so long. So for the longest time, he was the best player to never win a major.
Gotcha.
Then he finally won majors.
There you go.
But one of the best golfers of the era, one of the best golfers of all time. And a lefty, so he was affectionately known as Lefty.
And who was the other one?
And he was playing. His partner was Gary McCord,
also a real
golfer. By that point, though, he wasn't really playing on the regular tour.
Right.
He was an announcer.
Right.
But he was playing on the senior tour and was a legendary player on the PGA Tour before that, throughout the 80s.
So he just cameo.
Yeah, well, they're all cameos. Yeah. There's many more golfer cameos. You get a cameo from Corey Pavin. You get a lot of cameos in here, so...
The names mean nothing.
Right. To people who watched golf back then, they'll mean something. So, they're setting up for their second shots.
Yep.
Which is it's a par 5. They're hitting their second shots. Now, there's water hazard right in front of the green.
Yes.
So, the two options are try to really crack one onto the green and get on in 2.
Or lay up.
And
right?
then chip onto the green over the water.
That way you don't have farther to hit.
Yeah. And so Tin Cup, who is David Sims' caddy, walks by Craig Stadler, who's getting ready to shoot, and says, $10 says you can't hit it on from here. And so Craig Stadler decides, all right, fuck it, I'm going to go for it.
Right.
And so he goes for it and hits it in the water.
Yep.
And David Sims is pissed. Well, not really pissed at Craig Stadler, but he's like, why did you do that? And he's like, well, your caddy came by, said he could do it. And David Sims is like, the fuck? And he's like, well, I can.
Yeah.
I can hit it on from here, no problem.
Yep.
David Sims gets pissed.
Yes.
And then he plays the safe shot.
He lays up.
And Tin Cup is like ragging, who is his caddy, is ragging on him to the fans.
Yes.
Right as he's taking the shot, like, ooh, big tour star gonna lay up and give you guys your money's worth. Like, you know? He's like, these guys didn't pay $30 for a ticket to come see a tour star lay up. They came to see you go for it.
Right.
But David Sims is all about the money, and he wants to win the money.
Yep.
So he doesn't go for it. He plays the smart, easy shot and lays up.
Yes.
And they're about to move on.
Yeah.
But then Craig Stadler says, hold on. I'm getting 5-1 odds from Mickelson and McCord that says your caddy can't hit it on. I think you can do it. I want to make some money.
Mickelson and McCord are...
the other 2 players.
Okay, so now the other golfers are betting each other on whether or not...
Tin Cup can hit it on the green from there.
And Romeo's helping with that.
Absolutely, yes. Because Romeo, Cheech Marin's character, is always smitten, right? Because he's a big golf fan, because he's a caddy. So he's a big golf fan. Right. So he knows all these players, and he's smitten with them, like talking to them and getting to talk to these guys who are like his heroes, right? Yeah. Which is cool for him. Yeah. So he's like the 4 caddy. Yeah. Which would be what the little boy is in Legend of Bagger Vance. He's the 4 caddy, exactly. So that's what Romeo is in this situation. Okay. For Tin Cup, he's his actual caddy, but since Tin Cup's the caddy this time, he's the 4 caddy. Yep. So, so David Sims is like, don't do it. If you hit this shot, I don't care what they're saying, you hit this shot, you're fired. Yep. So what does Tin Cup do? He drops the golf bag and grabs the 3-wood. Yep. And says, how are you going to fire me in front of all these people, especially when I knock this stiff from here? And so David Sims lets him do it. Yep. Gives him enough rope. All the announcers are like trying to figure out what the hell's going on. Yeah, so they're like, you know, they're talking about it, and they're like, look, this guy hasn't hit a golf ball all day. He's some caddy who runs a driving range out in the middle of nowhere. Gary McCord is like, look, I give him 5-1 because like I don't think I would give a tour pro 10-1 at making this. Right. So like I think this guy has no chance of doing it. Right. Because like we just saw Craig Stadler not be able to do it. Right. So of course what happens? He makes it. Steps up and just drills it within 5 feet. Yep. With a 3-wood. Yes. Beautiful shot. Okay. Now I don't understand the difference between the golf clubs, and I don't think I have the patience to listen to all of them. Okay, so typically there are 2 or 3 woods. Okay. That's the ones with the big heads. Yes. They're usually made out of metal these days, obviously. But there's a 1 wood that's your driver. Okay. There's a 3, which is a fairway wood. And then sometimes you'll have a 4 or a 5, which is another fairway wood. Okay. And the 1, 3, 5 is all about the slope. Okay. And how high and far it will hit the ball. Okay. So. And then the other ones, because I think the other ones are irons. Okay. I think the 7 comes in. Yes, the 7 iron. So the other ones are irons. Okay. Which are the blade looking ones. Okay. Yeah. And those are for more like putting. Those are what you would normally play from a fairway. So like, for instance, when David Sims
the fairways you don't play on the fairways. You play the. You
can play your woods from the fairway if you're going for it, right? So on the par 5, because Tin Cup's going for it in 2, he plays a wood to get maximum distance. Plays the 3-wood. Because David Sims was laying up, he wants a shorter shot. Okay. He plays a 7 iron. Okay. To hit it shorter. Okay. With an iron, you'll get more loft. Okay. And an easier to stop ball. Okay. Where you will not get that with a wood. Okay. So, yeah.
That's all right. That's as basic as I can take it right now.
So Tin Cup knocks it stiff. Everybody is shocked. Yep. And then he gets fired. Yes. Right there. And then he David Sims goes into the crowd and pulls a guy out of the crowd to be his new caddy.
Yeah, just some random person. Come here. Yeah.
Can you carry that bag?
Yeah.
And then so he picks it up, and Tin Cup goes bonkers, grabs the golf club, starts throwing the clubs around, and then basically what we do is we meld out of there into him and Romeo sitting in the trailer,
watching the news
of him
him
doing this. Yeah, so funny.
Yeah, and he's sitting there drinking antacid and whiskey.
Yeah.
Or is it bourbon? Or is it the same thing?
Well, bourbon is a type of whiskey.
Yes.
Yep. So he's drinking milk of magnesia.
No, it's antacid.
Oh, was it antacid?
Yep.
Okay.
Because milk of mag makes you shit.
Right.
Where
so he's drinking like Malox or whatever.
It just says antacid across the front. Yeah.
All right. So he's drinking that along with bourbon, I think it was. Absolutely.
Yep, straight out of the bottle.
Yep. And this is where we have the conversation of defining moments.
Yes.
Where Tin Cup explains to Romeo that even if he had the chance to do it again,
he would.
He would, because that shot was a defining moment.
And that's when Romeo says, no, your defining moment was when
81 qualifying school. And what happened at the 81 qualifying school when David Sims made the tour and Tin Cup did not?
So what happened was he needed a 12.
A 12 on the final hole.
To make it into the pro.
Yep, to make it onto the tour.
And he got a 13. And the only reason he got a 13 was he was adamant he could make the shot from where he was, and he missed the first shot.
Out of bounds.
Yep.
5 times.
Yep.
So OB drop, OB drop, OB drop,
yep.
OB drop, OB drop. Ends up shooting a 13.
Instead of a 7.
And misses the cut.
By 1.
And doesn't make the tour.
Yep. Instead of a 7, right?
Right. Had he just laid up, he would have shot a par.
Yep.
And been well under the cut.
Yep.
And been on the tour for the last 12 years.
Yes.
But he is the guy who goes for it.
Yes.
And so
because they come here to see us go for it. They don't pay to see us lay up.
Right.
And
Which is the conversation that he has with David Sims, where he tells David Sims, 12 years on tour and you still play like a pussy.
Yeah.
And David Sims is like, 12 years later and you still think golf is all about testosterone.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he thinks it's about testosterone. He thinks it's about the show, where the other guy thinks it's about the money.
I don't even think it's about the show for him. Like, yes, he wants to give the fans a good show.
Yeah.
But in his heart, he thinks that you should go for it.
Yes.
That you should go for it because you should want to achieve great things.
Yes.
And he keeps himself from achieving great things by not realizing that sometimes greatness is achieved by playing it safe just a little bit.
But he never learns that lesson.
He doesn't. Right up to the end of the movie, does not learn that lesson.
It's not even right up to the end. It's never in this movie does he realize that lesson.
Yeah. So, I mean, well, hopefully, maybe afterwards he did go through qualifying school and made it. Who knows?
Right.
Maybe. We don't know. There hasn't been. I would love to see a Tin Cup too. That would be great.
That'd be interesting.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
All right. So that was the defining moments. The next little bit that we get is...
Are they at a strip club?
So this is where Tin Cup owes his ex-girlfriend, who is a stripper/strip club owner, Doreen.
Yes.
He owes her $12,000 from a bet that they made on dog races.
Yeah.
Which is retarded, but doesn't shock me at all.
Now, where are there dog races in the area?
All over the place.
This area is so small it has one psychologist.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there are probably dog racing tracks there. I mean, they're probably shitty dog racing tracks. There's like a shitty driving range, but there's undoubtedly dog racing tracks there. Especially in the 90s. But yeah, so he doesn't have any money, obviously, because he just got fired from his caddy gig, so he didn't make any money on that.
Yeah.
So he offers Doreen the pink slip to the deed to his driving range.
Yes.
With everything included.
Yep.
As even a automatic membership into the Salina, Texas Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah. And she's smart though.
Yes.
Because she's like, well, what are your work costs? What are your labor costs? And him and Romeo were like whispering to each other. I don't know. I think I give him like $6 an hour.
Yeah, the driver got the tractor driver who picks up the balls, who drives Herbie.
Yeah.
Gets $5 an hour.
Yep.
This is the '90s, so you didn't get much money.
And then he's like, and Romeo gets 10.
Yep. And she's like, "What about you? What's your salary?" And he's like, "Oh, you mean my managerial salary?" She's like, "I mean every stolen beer, stolen bag of corn nuts, every nickel that you take out of the till on a regular basis. What do you pay yourself?"
Everything else.
Everything else, exactly. But so she agrees to pay them like $10 an hour each.
Yep.
And the kid $5 an hour for driving the cart. And she says that's worth 10 grand. And that he still owes her 2.
Yes.
So he goes and pawns his golf clubs.
Yes.
And I assume pays her off with that.
I assume.
After that, he has another lesson with Molly.
Yep.
And this is where he teaches her like the normal. So like, all I can equate this to is like when you meet a girl at the bar and you're teaching her how to play pool.
And this is when she really should have smacked him with the fucking.
So
because
being a guy who's gone to the bar,
yes,
met girls at the bar,
yes,
and taught them how to play pool at the bar.
Did you teach girls to play pool this way?
Absolutely. You move in behind and you help them use the pool cue. Absolutely. Just the way it works.
And they all give you looks or they play along, right?
If you guys are having a good time,
then they play right along.
Absolutely.
Maybe I'm just sexist or whatever it is.
Overly woke.
Overly woke.
With your woke signaling.
I don't have woke signaling.
But anyway, he's teaching her. So he's up behind her, maneuvering her hips and her arms as to how to set up and swing the golf club.
Yes.
Typical how, if you're a guy, that's how you're going to teach a girl to do a thing.
Yes.
It's just how it works.
I guess maybe it's just because I'm one of those girls that if you try and teach me that way, you will get hit.
Right.
Because I do not like to be touched.
Right.
Unless I'm literally asking you to
do it.
Do it.
Right. Yes.
So, if
Well, and you have to gauge your audience when you do that.
Right, absolutely.
So, he wouldn't have done it if he thought that she would beat him with the golf club and freak out.
Right.
He can tell. You can tell when somebody's open to that.
Right.
And then, that's right, because how else do you push things along? You have to push things along.
Yeah.
So.
Now, for the lesson or for his personal gains?
Both.
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah, because at this point, he's automatically in love with her.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
He's smitten, as he says. He's smitten with her. Which, come on, it's Rene Russo.
Yeah, she's cute for her time.
Yeah, for the 90s. Absolutely. But in the middle of his teaching her to play golf,
her boyfriend shows up.
David shows up. Mm-hmm. Get your hands off of her, he says. And this is where Tin Cup finds out.
And they both look embarrassed.
Yeah, and this is where... because again, she was enjoying the tutoring.
Yes, she was.
She was enjoying it because she wanted Tin Cup to touch her.
Yes.
So, and now Tin Cup realizes, this is your golfer boyfriend. Mm-hmm. Son of a bitch.
Yep.
And then we cut right to him screaming at Romeo about how David Sims is going to take her to Doral, which is a golf tournament.
Okay.
Going to take her to Doral. Currently, that course is owned by Trump.
Okay.
Doral Golf Club.
Okay.
But it's a PGA Tour stop.
Okay.
So, so he's like, how can I take her to Doral? I have a Winnebago. I can't take her to Doral. How am I supposed to win this girl over?
Right.
When he can take her to Doral for a week of massages and margaritas.
Yeah.
And I can offer the spa kiddie pool in the front yard.
Yeah.
So he is bummed and down on his luck.
Yeah, because it really is a pro golfer boyfriend.
Yeah, PGA Tour pro.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And this is where Romeo, I think jokingly says, well, you could win the U.S. Open.
Yes, I think he absolutely was joking when he said this.
And Tin Cup is like, now there's an idea.
Yeah.
We could totally do that.
Yeah.
It's the only democratic golf tournament that exists. Any red-blooded American can play.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, essentially.
Right.
Any American can play as long as you have the good handicap and you win yourself through the the qualifying tournaments. Any golfer from America can play because it's the U.S. Open.
Right.
So he decides, all right, I need to get golf clubs because I need to play in the U.S. Open and win it so I can win the doctor lady.
So how does he make up that money?
So he goes, all right, so if anybody out there, I think I know where Dude Perfect, the guys on YouTube, got their all sports golf battle. So they've done 3 of them. They've done all sports golf battles where it's like they have like soccer balls and baseballs.
Yes, I've seen the videos.
And so Tin Cup, I really think is the originator of this. I wish I could talk to those guys and ask them.
Right.
Because I think that this match coming up is what led them to the all sports golf battle. So he grabs like a shovel, a baseball bat,
a rake,
a garden rake, a garden hoe.
Yep.
And takes those and challenges a guy to a $400 golf match. The one guy using golf clubs and him using these random tools to play.
Yep.
And absolutely crushes him.
Yes.
Using these tools. And wins $400 so he can go get his golf clubs out of hock.
And the other guy's pissed.
Absolutely.
He's like, get the fuck off my
Because
lawn.
this isn't the first time that Tin Cup's beat him, right? They played with both with golf clubs at one point, and Tin Cup won the Winnebago off of this guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this guy's like trying to get revenge.
Yeah.
And ends up losing $400 again.
Yeah.
To Tin Cup.
Yeah.
So he gets his golf clubs, which is great.
Yes.
He can now play golf.
Yeah.
And so that leads us to
So, but hold on about those golf clubs, because here's my thing though. If he gets a $400 to get his golf clubs back, how much money was he given for the golf clubs in the first place?
I would assume $400.
Well, then where did the other $1,600
Maybe he convinced
go
her
that
that she could take it out of his salary or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
You can figure that out.
Okay.
So, you know.
It's never mentioned again. So
right. There's
my
ways to come
head's
up
just,
with it.
the math isn't adding up.
Right, yeah.
So.
I mean, there's ways to come up with it, so I'm not,
Right.
I'm not that concerned about that. She could garnish his wages or something for a while or something, so not a big deal.
At $10 an hour in the 90s? Yeah.
Right. Well, okay, so so this is right around the time when I got my first job.
Right.
That would be a year later.
Yeah.
I got my first job because I just turned 16.
Yep.
And my starting wage was the federal minimum wage at that time. $4.75 an hour.
So he made plenty of money for her to garnish his wages.
Absolutely. Yep. So I was making slightly less than what the kid driving Herbie picking up the golf balls was making.
Yep.
A quarter less. All right. The next scene is one of my favorites. And that is where Roy visits her shrink office.
Yeah. He goes in the wrong door.
Goes in through the outdoor.
Yes. It clearly says exit on it.
Freaks out this lady who had just had her session.
Yes. So the way
emotional.
Yes. So the way this therapist office is, and I actually like the way it's set up like this. Mm-hmm. They have the waiting room where they wait for their appointment. They have the office where they have the appointment, and then they have the exit room, which is you can come out and sit out here and have your emotions before you leave. That way the people in the waiting room don't see you.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't affect each other.
Yes.
Now he came in the exit door and sitting on one of the couches, and when she looks up during her crying fit and sees him there, she freaks the fuck out.
Yeah, and he's like, she's crying. I don't know why she's still here and crying.
Yeah.
It's like, but so Rene Russo like rushes him into the office.
Yeah.
She's like, that's the exit room. He's like, yeah, I know, but she's sitting there crying in it.
She's allowed to. They're allowed to have their emotions before they go back out into the world.
Yeah, and so I mean, okay, so Roy McAvoy, who we've only ever seen in like khakis, a sweaty wife beater. Mm-hmm. And at most, that very 90s button-up, multicolored, patchy shirt that he wore.
With the green vest on it.
Yeah.
So he's wearing a white polo thing here.
He's wearing a white... Not even a button-up shirt. He's wearing a polo.
Yep.
And slacks.
Yep.
With a tie. Guys, you know, you don't wear a tie with a polo.
Right.
But he is.
Yep. With a baseball cap.
He's put a polo on. He's done his hair... and then put a baseball cap on.
Yeah.
And he's wearing golf shoes.
Without the spikes.
But he took the spikes out of them. And this is him dressed up to go see the girl that he likes.
Yes.
And she just like cuts right through his bullshit.
Yes.
And she tells
him juvenile.
Yeah, she tells him, look, if you act and do something out of the purest intentions of your heart, then that can't be wrong.
Right.
Is what she tells him. So then he is like, oh, okay, well listen, I'm fucking crazy about you.
Yeah.
And she, of course, freaks out a little bit.
Yes.
And basically runs him off.
Yes. After telling him he doesn't have any demons or inner turmoil, he's just a child.
He's full of shit.
Yeah.
Is what she says. You're not full of demons, you're full of shit.
Yeah.
So he leaves, and he's not happy.
No.
Right? And she's like,
I did what you told me to do, and now you're mad at me for it.
So she shows back
I will
up.
give him credit. That's
Legit.
a legit response.
Yes, legit.
So,
because she told him that. She said it can't be wrong.
Yep.
And then she told him that that's wrong.
And then she's like, but not for me.
I didn't realize you meant me.
Yeah.
So first she has a call. She calls her psych professor.
Yes.
I assume. And
Well, therapists have other therapists they can contact where they can talk vaguely about the stuff that happens without breaking HIPAA violations.
Right. It sounded like it was one of her professors, though, simply
Probably.
because she said, you mentioned this over and over, that eventually something like this would happen. So I just assumed that means in class at some point. So she calls and explains what happens, and the shrink on the other end is shrinking her. And this is where she kind of lets out, like, well, he's kind of cute, and, he's charming in that roguish sort of way, and, I do kind of like him.
And then she's like, oh, shit, wait, hold on, and hangs up the phone.
Yeah, and then rushes out to his Winnebago to meet him.
Yes.
And basically she apologizes.
Yep.
And she's going to help him prepare his mental game to play in the U.S. Open.
Yes.
She agrees to help him with that. Mm-hmm. But that means no funny business because she's his shrink.
Yes.
So that happens. Mm-hmm. And then we get to the first qualifying tournament. So there's two levels of qualifying for the U.S. Open. There's a local tournament, and then there's the sectionals.
Okay.
So this is the first one, the local area tournament.
Is that called regional or something?
Like a regional, exactly. Okay. So there's like West Texas players all in the same area.
Okay.
Looks actually like similar to the course that they played the Cottonwood.
Yes.
But so anyway.
But it's got a lot of armadillos in it.
Yes. And from what we can see as we get there, I don't know, sometime in the later holes, probably like 14, 15, 16, somewhere in there, or maybe 12, somewhere in that range anyway. Things have been going really good. Tin Cup is like well under par.
Yeah.
All he has to do is par out, and he'll make the cut and move on to the next tournament.
But guess what?
Yeah. So we come to whatever number hole it is. I don't remember. I don't even think they tell us what hole it is.
I think it was 14. No, I think it was 12.
Yeah.
Because he's talking about it later.
Right. So, Tin Cup is feeling really good, and he wants to hit the driver over some trees and around a dogleg to cut off the corner.
What's a dogleg?
So a dogleg is when a golf hole goes up and then turns a direction. So you got like this. And then there's trees.
So it's like the ankle joint.
Yeah. So he's got to go up and then to the left in order because the hole's down this way.
Right, and he can't see it from where he is.
So what he wants to do is go over those trees and cut the corner.
Instead of laying up.
Instead of playing straight up with a 2-iron and then playing another shot onto the green.
Okay.
He wants to cut the corner and get there in less shots.
Yes.
Essentially. Cheech is having none of it.
Literally.
And so they get into a tissy.
Is that what you're going to call this?
Yeah. Yeah. This is a married couple fight. This is a bro fight.
Absolutely.
This is what happens when bros get angry. So, and it's said exactly like it too. So Cheech finally is like, fine, you want the 3-wood? Romeo. He's like, fine, you want the 3-wood? And he snaps it over his knee.
Yep.
And says, there you go, have the 3-wood. And he's like, fine, I'll take the 5-wood. He's like, oh, you want the 5? Snaps that over his knee and throws it. He goes, there you go, have that. So then Tin Cup's like, fine, I guess I'm playing it safe. And he grabs the 2-iron. He's like, but I sometimes fan this 2-iron, so probably not the safest shot to play. So he snaps the 2-iron.
Yep.
And then he goes through and snaps all of the other
Except
clubs
for
in his
the
bag.
7.
Except for the 7. He's like, but the 7-iron. I never mishit the 7-iron. And Cheech, storms off.
Doesn't come back. He's
Yep.
gone.
He's gone for many scenes after this.
Yep. So he carries
his own bag.
Yep.
The rest of the way. Well, actually, he didn't even carry a bag. He just carries the 7-iron with him.
Yes, that's
This is
true.
the only. He broke his putter
Yep, and he just left everything there.
on the tee box.
Yep.
But he hits the 7.
Yep.
And then he says, "Anybody here think I can't par out with just a 7-iron?"
Yeah.
Through the next 6 holes.
Yep.
So he does.
Yep.
He pars out with the 7-iron.
Because he's having fun. He's not
Yes.
thinking about it.
And I just love he hits the 7-iron, struts down the fairway, and then what does he do with the 7-iron?
He puts it through his belt loop like a sword.
Yep, like he's got a sword, like he's a fucking swashbuckling pirate.
Yep.
That's hilarious.
And Molly's just sitting there with her hands over her eyes.
Yeah. So after the tournament, he does qualify
Yes.
with his 7-iron,
Yes.
and him and the boys, except for Romeo,
Yep.
are there at the clubhouse having beers and celebrating.
Yes.
And Molly tells him, "No, you failed. I know you qualified, but that's not your only job. You're supposed to be learning how to control yourself, and you failed miserably at
Yes, you did. You regressed, is what she said.
Yeah. And then, of course, David shows up
Yeah.
and basically needles him.
Yeah.
He's like, "Hey, David, you ever shot par with a 7-iron?" And David's like, "Never really had the need to,"
Right.
which is funny.
Yeah.
And Tin Cup is challenges David Sims. Any contest you want with the 7-iron for, what was it, my car up for $1,000
Yeah.
or whatever it was.
It was the car versus $1,000. Yeah.
Yeah, and so David Sims says, "Okay, fine. One shot with a 7-iron, longest shot wins."
From here and
Yep.
drops it in the middle of the dining area.
Yep. So Tin Cup is like, "Oh, easy. I hit my 7-iron like John Daly hits his 3-iron."
I don't know what that means, but
John
okay.
Daly is one of the longest hitters in
Okay.
PGA history.
Okay.
So,
So he takes a swing and calls it, 227?
228 yards.
Okay.
228 yards, which is, for 7-irons, really good.
Right.
And it was accurate and straight down the driving range. So then David gets up.
And he turns a whole 90 degrees. And instead of shooting down the range like Tin Cup did, in front of him is the highway out of the...
Yep, the road out.
Yep, it's the road out of the golf club.
Yep. He just hits it down that.
Yeah. And
Goes
it
for
keeps
like a half
going.
mile.
And it keeps going because it bounces on tarmac.
Yep, it just keeps going and going. It goes like a half a mile down
Yep.
to the interstate.
Yep. He didn't say it had to be.
Right. He just said longest shot.
Yep. Didn't say which direction he had to shoot it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
So, Tin Cup loses his car.
He loses the Winnebago, yes.
No, not the Winnebago. He loses his car. Remember his red
Oh,
convertible.
yes, that's
He
right.
loses his red convertible. So now he needs a ride home. All right. The next scene is the next qualifying tournament, the sectional.
Yep.
Where Earl is being his caddy
Yes.
and dying of heat exhaustion.
Yes, he is. He can't walk that far.
Especially
Let
carrying the
alone
golf
carrying
clubs.
the golf clubs.
Right. So Tin Cup is has to carry his golf clubs for the last 4 holes.
Yes, he does.
But still manages to win.
Yes.
Or at least qualify
Yes, he does qualify.
for the U.S. Open. So he's now qualified for the Open
Yep.
by winning this. He heads home, and Romeo's back.
Yes.
He's making some golf clubs.
Yes.
We don't know who. I assume that he sells golf clubs. They make them and sells them.
I'm assuming they're the ones that
Tin Cup's going to use?
Tin Cup's
Okay.
going to use.
Either one is a possibility.
Right. Because
To
it's
be
never
honest.
specified.
Right. So they agree. This is where they have the great conversation where it's like, "Look, I love Earl, but it's not you." He's like, "Do you love me more than Earl?" And Tin Cup's like, "If you can take the overt sexual overtones out of that, then yes, I love you more than Earl."
Yeah. Absolutely.
And of course, this is bros fight and then bros
Yep.
make up. It's just the way it is.
Yep.
Let's see, and then so they start practicing for the U.S. Open because now he's got to play in the U.S. Open. And then
Yes.
what happens?
What'd they call it?
He gets the shanks.
Yes.
And the golfers out there know what the shanks are. He gets the shanks. So what does the Shanks do?
He's pulling too far to the right.
And slicing the golf balls off
Yes.
to the right as he's trying to hit them straight.
Yeah.
So he's got the Shanks. They look like they're working on it all day and all night.
Yeah, it's pretty dark out by the time they...
So Romeo goes inside.
But if you pay attention closely, the same amount of balls are on the ground.
Well, he might have had... I mean, probably
Well,
hit,
like they're
probably hit
still in the same
endless
spot.
buckets.
They're still in the same spot.
Yeah, whatever. Whatever. Continuity. Who cares? Who cares about continuity?
Just
Jesus.
saying.
So Romeo tells him, look, it's in your head. It's probably the woman.
Yes, absolutely.
And then he goes inside.
Yes.
And then Tin Cup keeps hitting, and then we fade out. And then the next day,
The woman brings him his car back.
Molly shows up with his car.
Yeah.
She brings it back to him. And she finds him in the Winnebago
Yep.
wearing all of her ridiculous golf tools that he told her not to bother with.
Yes.
And he's got them all on. He's
Yes.
wearing a pair of not boxers. He's wearing swim trunks.
Yep.
And a wife beater.
Yep.
With all of her fucking golf tools on
Yeah,
him.
he's got this brace on his right arm to keep it from going straight.
Yeah.
He's got the goggle thing with the ball on it. He's got some kind of thing on his chest with a pole sticking out of
That
it.
the golf club goes into.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's got the thing, my favorite things that have the ankles and the knees strapped together.
Yes.
So that you can't extend your stance.
Yeah, they're essentially shin guards that connect together.
Yeah. To keep you from over
opening.
widening your stance.
Correct. So she is
Not amused.
Yeah, no, and so they have this great conversation where she's talking about his inner child, and now his inner child acts out.
Yes.
And he says, so you're saying my inner child needs a spanking? And she goes, yes. No, I mean no.
Yeah, he's turning the conversation dirty. And
Absolutely.
She's trying to keep it as professional as she can.
But she's failing because she also plays along when he says it needs a spanking. Her initial gut reaction is yes.
Yep.
But then she's like, no, I didn't mean yes, no.
Yes.
So then he takes her home. And he pulls I've got something to show you along the way routine.
He has to take her home because she realized she dropped the car off and she doesn't have a car to get herself back.
So he has to drive her home.
Yep.
And he wants to stop and show her this great place by the river. Because it's nature and stuff.
Yeah, how romantic.
So they stop at the bend in this, what could only be described as a creek.
But it's pretty.
It's a nice little place.
The water's a little low.
This time of year, yep. There's a nice big tree there that they're parked under. They got some shade.
Yeah.
He is drinking whiskey out of a glass.
Yeah. Which
While
is
driving,
exactly what you're supposed to be doing
While
when
driving.
you have to drive.
Again, it's the 90s.
Yeah. You didn't get caught breaking the law back then.
Well, have you seen a single police officer in this movie? No.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Not even a cop car.
So he goes in for the kiss.
And she pushes him away.
Yep. So he takes the hint and drops her off.
There was something he did say here that you wanted to talk about, I think. He said something about her looking for a way out of her relationship.
Oh, right. So, yeah. Well, I just brought this up because he's right. I mean, he is correctly reading the situation with her.
Yeah.
She doesn't really want to be with Sims. You can tell.
David.
Right, David.
Right.
She doesn't want to be with him.
Right.
So he correctly deduces that she is a woman looking for a way out.
Right. And flirting with the guy's not friend.
Enemy, essentially.
Is helping
Right.
the situation.
Exactly.
Not really helping the situation, but it's,
Depending on which situation you're talking about.
Yeah.
It could absolutely be helping.
I just, from experience, that's not the way to go.
Right. But anyway, so that's and he's right about that. She is, and she knows he's right about that.
Because that's when she's like, okay, you can take me home now. I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Yeah, she's not willing to admit it yet.
Yeah.
But he's right.
Yes.
And so he takes her home, drops her off, and then so that just takes us to, they head out on the road, Romeo and Tin Cup.
And the guys.
Well, no, they don't come yet, remember? It's just Romeo and Tin Cup at first.
Are they on their way to North Carolina?
They're on their way to North Carolina to go play in the U.S. Open.
Yes.
And so we're going to take a quick break here.
Yep.
And we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the ending bit, which is everything that happens at the U.S. Open, the final dramatic, climactic finish to the film. And we'll be done with this one.
Yep.
All right. So be back in a couple seconds. All right. So we arrive at the U.S. Open.
Yep.
The final scene for our movie.
Yes.
The final chapter. We start out on warm-up day. So that's the day before everything starts.
Yep.
And so they're all, hitting some range balls.
Yep.
Nice brand new Titleists. Tons of them. Which Roy tells Romeo, stick a couple of those in the bag. We might be able to nick enough free stuff out of this to make this whole trip worth it.
Yeah. Brand new balls, because they don't have those.
Right, so he's going to steal a whole bunch of those.
Because in the previous scene, you see Romeo rinsing all the balls in a bucket of water with a giant strainer and then dumping them in a clean, dry bucket. It's fine.
Yeah, and they're all dirty, beaten up old golf balls. So they're going to steal a bunch of new golf balls to try to make up the cost of the trip.
Yeah. Well, they don't, because he uses them over the period of the 2 days he's there.
Well, no, they get other balls for that. But,
oh, okay.
So these are just the balls for warm-ups.
Oh, yes.
And so takes his first shot, shanks.
Yeah.
Right down the line of pros. And it's so funny because Tin Cup and Romeo are both like, who hit that?
Yeah.
Looking around like, who did that?
Yeah.
Trying to play it off.
Yes.
Because it was what you do. Mm-hmm. Goes to hit a second shot. Again.
Does it again.
Shanks it down the line. Hits the golfer with it.
Yeah.
And freaks out.
Yeah.
Romeo says, okay, fine, listen here. You have to do exactly what I'm going to say.
Yep.
We'll get you cleared on this. No
Yes.
problem. So he says, all right, take all the change out of your pocket and put it in your left pocket. Mm-hmm. Turn your hat backwards.
And double knot your left shoe.
Double knot your left shoe, and then stick this T behind your left ear.
Yep.
And so Roy goes, I look like a fucking idiot. He's like, oh, and you didn't when you were hitting them chili dippers down in front of the other guys.
Yeah, exactly.
So he does what he says.
Yeah, and he shoots it.
And he hits a really nice shot right up the range. And so he's like, how did I do that? And he's like, you're not thinking about the doctor lady anymore. You're just hitting the golf balls.
You were thinking about how awkward you were and just, you swung.
Yep. Good to go. So, shanks are cured.
Yes.
They decide, though, that Tin Cup always plays better hungover.
Yeah.
Or after a night of drinking.
Yes.
So they decide to get him good and drunk.
Stay up till 3 a.m. drinking.
Until he basically passes out.
Yeah.
They're late the next morning. Doesn't get any practice in.
No practice.
It's right to the tee box as it's his turn to tee off.
Yeah.
It has a hilarious line where he walks up to the official and says, got time for a quick bucket?
Yeah.
It's like, I wanted practice shots, but no such luck.
Nope.
And proceeds that day while hungover to shoot a 12 over 83.
Yes.
Not good.
No.
Not good at all.
He played it safe that day, too.
Yes. And he did not do well. He shot an 83.
That's what happens when you play it safe for him.
Right. So he goes afterwards. Him and Romeo go and sit in the bar.
Yep.
To drown their miseries out.
Yes.
Thinking, okay, well, great. So we're gonna be out of here tomorrow.
Yep.
Because we're not gonna make the cut for the weekend after shooting an 83. Mm-hmm. David Sims joins them in the bar. And
After
of course,
Molly has already joined them in the bar.
No,
Molly.
He shows up first and starts picking on him about his 83. He's like, you know, I played with this Hollywood celebrity at this course one time, and as bad as he was, he shot an 82.
Yeah.
How did you, this great striker of the ball, Tin Cup, shoot an 83?
Yeah.
And Tin Cup's like, well, I missed a 4-foot putt on 18 for an 82.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
And all the other golfers are laughing at him. And that's when Molly shows up.
Yeah.
And we forgot to mention that before David Sims gets to the bar, he was being interviewed because he's the leader after the first round.
Yeah.
And then walking off of that, he runs into this
old couple with the grandson
and a
dog.
And
proceeds to yell at them because how dare they ask for an interview? Can't they see he's working here?
Not an interview, an autograph. So their grandson, he's their grandson's favorite golfer.
Yes.
And so they asked me to have an interview, and he
or an autograph.
Yeah, an autograph, and he flips out on him.
Yeah. And then says, "That's an ugly fucking dog."
And Molly happens to be standing right there, seeing all this, and she remembers back to when Tin Cup had told her, "Look, he hates old people, children, and dogs. How can you like this guy?"
Yeah.
And now she gets it.
Yes.
So we're led to believe that this is the turning point
Yes.
in their relationship is now done,
Yeah,
essentially.
because he didn't even see her. He was just so mad he walked right by her and went to the bar.
Yeah. And so she comes out into the bar, saddles up between Tin Cup and David Sims.
Yeah.
And basically tries to shame David Sims for talking down to Tin Cup.
Yeah.
And comes up with this insane bet that Tin Cup could hit a ball from inside the bar out over a patio
across the river
and make a pelican fly off of the wooden pylon that it's sitting on. Okay, so in this scene, so Tin Cup agrees to do it.
Yes.
In this scene, Gary McCord is there.
Yes.
And so he's
the guy announcing into the soda stream.
Right, he's doing
Yeah.
And so this shot that Tin Cup does is actually loosely based on a real shot that Gary McCord did when he was younger.
Right.
So that's where the idea for this shot came from.
Yep.
It was a shot that he had done, so they replicated it for the movie.
Yep.
And Tin Cup nailed, and all the other golfers are betting against Tin Cup.
Yeah.
So people are giving him like 5-1 odds. So I mean, he could make a lot of money off of this from all these guys. I mean, he's got.
Yep, because it was a $100 bet.
Yep. No, it was 100 at first, and then 200.
Yep.
With Sims.
Yep.
So you get 200 from Sims. You got other guys that are basically betting on 1,000.
Yeah.
They're doing 5-1s.
Yeah.
On the $200 bet.
Yes.
So he's going to pull in a few $1,000s out of this easily, no matter what.
Yep.
And he goes and he hits it, nails it.
Yeah.
It's a great shot. Scoots it right out the door, over the patio, plunk right into the wooden pylon, and the pelican goes flying away. Yep. It's cool as shit. It's awesome.
And the next scene, it's raining.
Then the next scene, it's raining, and Romeo is standing outside of the camper.
Wearing a poncho under an umbrella, and it is downpouring.
Yeah, this is like... This
is bro code.
This is hurricane level rain.
And he's sticking to the bro code.
Sticking to the bro code. He's waiting outside while Tin Cup is inside smashing Molly.
Yes. She is
twice.
She has officially left David.
We assume.
Yeah. And now they're sleeping together.
Yep. No time wasted.
Nope, none.
And so they're in there. They do it twice while Romeo waits in the fucking rain.
Yep.
That is dedication to your boy.
Yes.
Dedication to your boy.
Absolutely.
That shows you how deep their friendship runs.
Yep. He's like, can you hurry up in there?
Yep.
It's raining. I'm kind of wet out here.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, finally they're done and they all get to sleep.
Yep.
And then
they all sleep in the same bed.
No, Romeo was sleeping on the floor. Remember?
Oh, okay.
Those two are in the bed. Romeo's on the floor or the couch or whatever.
Okay.
The next day is round 2. So after the rain goes away, clears up, and they play golf. And
this is... Are there 3 rounds total?
There's 4 rounds. Okay. So this is round 2.
Okay.
This is where he ties a course record, 10 under.
Yep.
So he shoots a 10 under on the day. Mm-hmm. But so the dramatic moment of the day is on hole 16.
With the water.
No, hole 18.
With the water.
Right, so this is hole 18. And this is essentially the same shot that he hit in that first tournament when he was the caddy.
Yep.
It's essentially the same shot. It's a fairway lie with a 3-wood. You could lay up, and then he could go chip in and putt for par and break the course record by 1 stroke.
Yep.
He decides to go for it.
Not
and try to get on in 2.
Yes.
And doesn't even come close.
No, hits the water.
It's right into the water, and then of course moves up, takes his drop, chips up, putts in for par, ties the course record.
Yes.
With a 10 under.
Yep.
And so that night they go out to Waffle House to celebrate.
Yep.
Rene Russo or Molly wants to go somewhere fancy.
Yep.
Because they still have some of the money left over from the bet in the bar.
Yep.
But Romeo and Tin Cup are like, back where we come from, this is fancy. This is a Waffle House. This ain't no IHOP. This is a Waffle House.
Yep.
And
then all his friends show up, including
his ex-girlfriend Doreen.
Yep.
And all the boys that hang out and bet on flies.
Yep.
Including his love buddy Earl.
Yep.
His love buddy Earl shows up too.
Yep. And Doreen and Romeo hit it off.
They do. They absolutely do. They little budding romance.
Yes.
There. they're chit-chatting, and then so later that night after dinner, they go to sleep, and you've got Tin Cup and Molly sleeping in the bed. On the floor right below them is Doreen and Romeo.
Yep.
And then all the other guys are like variously passed out in chairs and couches around the camper.
Yes.
And it's hilarious because it's like a clown car, 20 guys packed into this fucking camper. And it's not even a full length Winnebago, right?
Yeah.
It's like a mid length Winnebago. It's like a 20-footer.
Yeah.
It's not even like a 30.
This is like stuff that guys do in college.
That they're still doing
on a camping trip.
Right. That they're still doing as adults.
Yes.
And they're, at this point, Kevin Costner, probably my age.
Yeah.
So mid to late 30s. At this point, yeah. Maybe 40s.
Yeah.
So.
Some of those guys there are definitely in their 40s.
Absolutely. Cheech Marin, absolutely.
Yeah.
Kevin Costner, I don't even know.
The old black guy is definitely older.
Absolutely. Earl, definitely.
Yep.
At least in his early 40s.
Yes.
So, anyway, wake up the next day. We cut right to round 3, 18th hole.
Yep.
Again, Roy's in essentially the same exact spot.
Yep.
Has the opportunity to either go for it in 2 or do the smart thing and lay up and chip on and putt in.
Does not do
because he's in contention now, as the commentator says.
Yep. He's
in contention for the U.S. Open. He needs to play it smart. Doesn't.
No.
Goes for it.
Does what he wants. Yep.
Goes for it in 2, and this time he nails that fucker, and he puts it on that green. But right in the middle of the flight, you can see it in his hair. There's a little gust of wind.
Yeah.
He says Romeo got a little gust there, and the ball lands on the green. And good 6 feet from the hole.
Yeah.
Beautiful shot.
And rolls on back.
Because it's a 2-tiered green.
Yeah.
He didn't quite get it to the top level.
Yeah.
Rolls down off the green and into the water.
Because when the gust came in, it blew the grass just enough so that...
Knocked the ball down just a little bit. So it didn't quite get as high on the green as it should have. Yeah. And so he asks for a ball immediately.
Yeah.
Because he's going to drop it and hit from there again. Because he knows he can make it.
Yeah.
And Romeo's like, what? He's like, I got fucked by a gust from the gods, Romeo. I can make this shot. And Romeo's like, go up there, take your fucking drop, and take your par, and win the tournament tomorrow. Yeah. And Tin Cup's like, you're right. What am I, an idiot? Of course, that's what I'm going to do. So they go up and they do the drop, and they play the end of the hole. All right. So then we move on to day 4.
Yes.
Final round.
Yep. Same spot.
Yep. Essentially, well, no, we get a shot before that. Remember, where he plays it off the shitter.
Oh yeah.
So his first drive is in the woods.
Yep.
For the day is in the woods, and then from there he hits a fairway shot into the crowd, into the woods. Yep. And he plays. There's no way. What Gary McCord says. There's no way for him to hit this ball onto the green. He's got to play it out into the fairway and then onto the green. Yep. Cost himself a shot. Yep. From the woods, but he decides no. He plays a ricochet shot off the shitter
with a wood.
No, with a 4-iron.
Oh yes, that's right.
A hooded 4-iron, which is basically you come over the ball. Yep. Knocks it down and then plays it up right onto the green. Yes. After Gary McCord bet him $50 he couldn't do it. Yep. And this shot again comes from Gary McCord's actual past.
He did it?
Yes. That's a shot that he played in a tournament.
That's funny.
Yeah. So these little touches are actually shots from his past, which I find hilarious. Yeah. So anyway, Tin Cup gets it on, and that starts his rally for the day. And we get to the 18th, and Tin Cup is 1 shot down. Yes. He's playing the final round with David Sims, and they're the last pair. Yep. Throughout the day, Lee Jansen, who is another professional golfer. Yep. He has from the group before them actually played well enough that he has taken the lead or tied David Sims for the lead. Yep. At 8 under. Yep. Tin Cup is at 7 under. Yep. 1 shot behind them. Yes. And so Lee Jansen pars 18 to stay at 7 under. Or stay at 8 under. Yep. David Sims and Tin Cup now are tied. Again facing their second shots. Tin Cup's a shot down. David Sims, of course, like, he looks at Tin Cup, he looks at it, and he questions, he grabs the 3-wood and thinks about it, but then puts it back and lays up with his 7-iron.
Yep.
And so Tin Cup's like, oh, he doesn't even want to win. So Tin Cup, of course, what's he going to do?
Grab the 3.
He's going to fucking go for it.
Yeah.
So he goes for it. And, again, gets it onto the green, but then it rolls back off. Mm-hmm. And so now he's in the water. So now he has the opportunity to go up there, take a drop, make a par, or make a birdie, because he can hole out that chip shot, make that birdie, and then he would essentially be in an 18-hole playoff with Lee Jansen the next day. Because in the U.S., all other tournaments on the PGA Tour, you have a playoff immediately, and you basically play match play through the holes until somebody shoots a better score than the other person. Over at the U.S. Open, the playoff is actually an 18-hole playoff the next day on Monday. Right. So that's all he has to do. And he can go and take that playoff and beat Lee Jansen over 18 holes. Right. Decides not to do that.
No.
Please describe what happens here.
The fucker takes the ball and drops it right where he is. Yep. Says, I'm going to do this bitch again.
Yep.
And Molly, no longer his therapist, is laughing on the sideline, saying, just go for it.
You're right, Roy. Just go for it.
Just go for it. Whatever.
And Doreen's like, you done lost your mind, girl.
Yeah.
So he
goes for it.
Goes for it again.
Hits the water.
And then what does he do? Does he then take his drop up by the water?
No, he fucking does it again. And hits the water again.
And again.
And again.
And again.
And I think he does it 5 times.
Yeah, so now he's shooting 12. He's got his last ball.
Yeah.
And they make the incorrect point of, if you lose this ball, we're disqualified.
Yeah.
And you can't turn in a scorecard. Which is not true. Anybody there could give him a ball to finish with.
Right.
But whatever. Set up the drama.
Yeah.
Even higher. So he has 1 ball left.
Yep.
He literally needs to make this shot to maintain his eligibility for next year's U.S. Open.
Yes.
That's how far he's fallen from first place all the way back to, if he misses this, he's out of the top 15, and he has to re-qualify for the Open next year.
Yep.
So he drops it and says, all right, and he goes ahead and he gives it a whack with the 3-wood, and what happens?
Gets it right in the hole.
Makes it.
Yeah.
Lands.
Doesn't even land on the green.
No, lands on the green.
Like, it doesn't stay on the green. It goes right in the hole.
It lands on the green, rolls 2 feet right into the cup.
Yep.
And so he just shot a 12.
Yep. But
completely blew the U.S. Open.
Everyone's going wild.
Yep.
Because he made the shot.
Yeah, he made this amazing shot.
Yep.
It was a 12.
Yep.
Completely blew the U.S. Open. Could have won it. Molly comes up to him, and she is ecstatic.
Yes.